Welcome to the Alpha Mirror Podcast, the show where we strip away the ego, face the truth, and build the strongest version of you. Hosted by Jason Connor, combat veteran, NLP master practitioner, seven-figure business owner, and best-selling author of Parenting Your Inner Child. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the Alpha Mirror. I'm your guide, Jason Connor, combat veteran, NLP master practitioner, and the proud author of the best-selling book, Parenting Your Inner Child. But most importantly, I'm just a man who has lived behind walls, fallen hard, and learned what real strength actually means. This podcast is for men and women who lead, protect, and just carry the weight. But sometimes we forget to check in with our own hearts. So each week, we're going to talk about healing, identity, leadership, and overcoming what you just don't want to hold anymore. Any anger, hurt, fear, sadness, or guilt. We're going to bring it all right here to the Alpha Mirror, to our safe room, and break down the myths about why we need to be an alpha. But before we start today, let's take a deep breath. Close your eyes. This is just not another podcast. This is a mirror. A space where we strip off the mask. Stop hiding behind the mask. I see through you, and I'm going to reach through you and bring you to the forefront so you can stop hiding behind the same walls that I did, because we're so used as alphas to have all the answers, to be able to fix everything, to not show any weakness. But we don't always have the answers. And we just bury ourselves with work, woman, or if you're a woman, men, or the same, alcohol, drugs. And these are just not things I'm making up. These are things that I actually lived. And that's why I'm not just your host, but I'm your guide. We're going to drop the act, and we're going to meet the versions of ourselves that we've simply been avoiding. But today's episode is something that's been just twisted for too long. The word alpha. What does that mean? Where does it come from? All we know is that the word alpha just means we just don't ask for help. And why do we not ask for help? That answer is simple. And if you're going to follow me on this journey in this podcast with all the guests that I bring on, you're going to hear me say these words a lot. We don't ask for help because our friends will view us as weak. And what does Jason say about that? Fuck your friends. Fuck your friends, because they're not your friends. Your real friends, the ones that you're aligned with, they're hurting just like you. And they're waiting for somebody just like you to lead them in their journey, just like my mentors have done for me. When I created the Alpha Mirror, it wasn't about ego. It was about truth. Because all progress starts with the truth. There's no hiding from it in this room. We're going to talk about things that I did that hurt others. We're going to talk about real, raw, deep stuff. And I welcome you to join me on this, because I know more than anybody you need it. Everybody has some sort of trauma that we live with, some sort of fear, anger that we hold on to it. That's why we feel like we always have to have control, because we never had control, or we feel that if we lose control, we're going to lose the grip of the situation. But real alphas, real men who've done this work, know that is all just a mask and that we don't need that control to achieve what we want to achieve. You know, I spent many years watching grown men, women, entrepreneurs, veterans, and myself. I mean, we're chasing this achievement. How much money can we make? How many wins can we stack? How many businesses can we own? But we're falling apart on the inside. And that's why when you go home every night and you look in the mirror, you see a broken human being. That is the fact. We're taught to grind harder, build bigger, and never show weakness. But if you're anything like me, you know how heavy that armor is. So this show is not about fixing you because you are not broken. That's what I want you to understand. I might use the words broken, but you're not broken. You are misunderstood and you are misaligned. That is simple. That is it. But you're definitely not broken. It's about just remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. We grew up in a world that taught us that we needed armor, that we needed control, that we needed to be loud, that the loudest one in the room. You know, I used to be that guy. I was the guy that would make people sit up straighter, maybe laugh a little louder, or crawl under the table, depending on what my mood was. It was all fake. It was all because I did not want to lose control. I did not want them to see me for the person that I really am. Just a lost, broken individual. So every episode we're going to dig into stories, psychology, and the inner work that no one talks about. The inner work that I've been through. The inner work that I will guide you through if you truly want help. But don't get it twisted. I will not force you to get rid of your problem if you feel you need to hang on to it for whatever reason you need. But when you're ready to let go of the problem, that's when your life is going to start to transition into the life that you always dreamed you would have on all levels: personal, professional, mentally, physically. If you find your God, you get back into church, whatever the case is, every little action you take to address the truth and to go back in those moments in your life and deal with those, every little bit you do will take you one step closer to success. I cannot tell you how excited I am for this podcast. We're going to have real conversations: trauma, love, faith, forgiveness. Let me say that again. Forgiveness. We're forgiving for ourselves so we can make peace with ourselves. We don't condone what they did. We don't say it was okay or anything like that, but we forgive them so we can let go of that anger or that hurt that we've been holding on to in that moment. So let's start with the word alpha. It comes from the Greek alphabet. The alpha being the letter, which simply symbolizes beginning, leadership, priority. You know, in animal studies, scientists thought the word alpha male, quote unquote alpha male, led through dominance. But they later discovered that he actually led through protection and care. The alpha always eats last. He ensures others are safe. Remember that protection without love is simply control. He leads not by force, but by example. Somewhere along the way, society twisted that into arrogance and control. And honestly, I'll blame social media. Because the life you're living on social media is not your real identity. Let me say that again. The life you're living on social media is not your true identity. Because the real alpha energy is calm, grounded, and compassionate. It's not dominance. It's not responsibility. So why is it that alphas struggle to ask for help? And it's simply because we were taught that needing help equals weakness. So we build walls. Walls don't protect us. They isolate us. Let me say that again. They don't protect us. These walls that we were taught to build, they simply isolate us. It starts young. For me, it looked like success on the outside and absolute exhaustion. Exhaustion on the inside. People saw confidence. They saw swagger. They saw likability. They saw professionalism. They saw all these great attributes. But what they didn't see is the nights I couldn't sleep or the guilt that I carried for so long, for too long. So I learned that asking for help isn't surrender. It's strategy. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's healing. When you say, I need help, you're not losing control. You're taking it back. Let me say that again. When you say, I need help, the three hardest words to say, you're not losing control. You're taking control, because now you're taking control of your life. You know that you need help. You know that things need to change. And if you're willing to change, the opportunity is here. You have somebody who's walking that path. I have somebody who's walking that path. And we are here to help you break through those moments, through this journey as you listen to this show, to find the true identity of who you were meant to be. People always say, lately people, ever since I wrote my book, people have reached out to me and they're just like, I just don't know where to start. Simple. Ask yourself this one question. And ask yourself in this question when it's just you and it's dark, because it's going to scare the living shit out of you. By the way, if you are looking for a podcast that talks nice and doesn't cuss, you're in the wrong place. Because we have to be honest. And honesty has certain dialogue. And I'm here to bring it to the forefront. Stop being taboo. Stop thinking we're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And just say it like it is. I'm going to be that guy that tells you what you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. So that one question is, what lie do you keep telling yourself that you wish wasn't true? Chew on that. And I'm going to assume the answer to that question is, I'm not okay. And that is a deep place to sit and let that land. Question is, what are you doing about it? If you know you're not okay and that you need help, why can't alphas just ask for it? I am so sick of the taboo, especially when it comes to mental health, that we can't talk about it. It seems like we can talk about everything in this world, but we can't talk about mental health. We can't talk about men or strong women needing help because of how they're going to be viewed or what other people are going to think. Stop fucking caring about what other people think. If you know anything about me, the one thing I don't give two rats about is what people think about me. There's 8 billion people on this planet Earth. I'm looking for 6 to fill up my dining room table, because that's where the conversations are different. That's where integration takes place. That's where alignment takes place, is when you just have those few key people who see the unicorn and want what you want. I mean, every alpha that I've met has a story that they keep reliving. Some wound, a failure, a moment that still controls them. And until you face it, those triggers, I call them invitations. Those triggers, though, are running the blueprint of your life from the shadows. That is a fact. The triggers, the outbursts, the yelling, just the I'm losing it. All of that is just your unconscious old patterns running your life because you have not gone back and dealt with those moments, or you have not gone back and reassessed your values. And that's a big thing for me, especially as you read my book, Parenting Your Inner Child. Like when you start doing that, the labels come. The separation from people you thought you were going to be close with comes. I have cut off people in my life that I never thought I would have to. I'm talking to my family, my brother, my mother, my father, and just about every family member except like 3 or 4. Because if you can't respect the man that I've become, I have nothing for you. If you don't bring me peace, purpose, or prayer, I don't give you my time, energy, or attention. It's very simple. Very simple. But people don't want to make those decisions because they feel they're losing something. How much are you gaining? The freedom, the peace that you're gaining is unmatched to what any other one person could bring you. Let me say that again. We're talking to the people that raised me, that fed me, that bathed me, that cared for me, that put a roof over my head, that put me through high school. These are the people that I've cut out of my life. I don't care who you are. The people that are closest to me know that if you don't bring me peace, prayer, or a purpose, I have absolutely nothing for you. And it's not that I wish you ill will. It's just you need to go over there. Still want you to eat, but you're not going to eat at my table. But like all my failures, all my moments, when I face mine through NLP, neuro-linguistics programming, through my mentor, Greg Pease, and my wife, Holly, I learned that freedom doesn't come from proving anything. Anything. It comes from accepting everything. Let me say that again. When I learned that freedom doesn't come from providing anything, it comes from accepting everything. So what does being an alpha actually mean today? It's being calm in the chaos, disciplined without being cruel, leading your home with love, not fear, which I am absolutely guilty of, and protecting your peace as fiercely as your people. And it's also knowing to say, I can't do this alone. That sentence doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. So when you stop pretending you have it all figured out and you make room for connection, you make room for alignment, you make room for brotherhood, and you make room for growth. Because real leadership, as I said, starts when you take off the armor. The armor might protect you, but it's also keeping you from feeling the things that made you human. I really, truly hope this is hitting for some of you and making sense. But before we dive deeper into the episodes ahead, I want to speak directly to the people fighting a battle that no one can see. The ones who smile in public, but collapse in private. The ones who are the rock for everyone else, but have no idea where to lean when things get heavy. That used to be me. That used to be me. There's a silence that eats at you. No peace. It's not peace. It's exhaustion. You spent years being the protector, the provider, the one that everybody can run to. But when it's your turn to need support, your world feels empty. You start believing you're supposed to be unbreakable. But even steel bends under pressure. Let's talk about the myth of control. Big myth about control. I thought control is power. If I could control my business, my finances, my emotions, I could control my life. But control was my trauma's favorite disguise. It made me feel safe, but it kept me disconnected. Real strength isn't about gripping harder. It's knowing when to let go and breathe. We measure our worth by how far others seem. That's poison. You don't have to be the best version of someone else, just the realest version of you. So every morning, I want you to do this. I want you to look yourself in the mirror, in the eyes, for 10 seconds. No phone, no mask, just you. And ask yourself, who am I showing up as today? The man I become or the mask I've built? Because you can't lie to the mirror forever. If you're listening to this right now and something inside of you is stirring, that's your soul saying, it's time. It's time to simply let go. Let go and fall into the arms of the people who have walked this fire. It's time to stop hiding behind the success. I'm looking at you. Because if you don't heal from that, you'll hurt others with the same pain you never resolved. And you're going to pass that down to your children. Guilty. Jason is guilty of doing that. But if we catch it in time, we can stop that generational trauma. And when we stop generational trauma, well, then we start generational wealth. And that is something that I don't believe any generation has had up until this point. So here's a couple takeaways. You can be strong and still need help. Control is not connection. And the alpha you're becoming is the one who no longer fears his own reflection. So today, as we define what the alpha is, what it means to be an alpha, it's not the loudest voice in the room. It's the most present heart, the one who never, it's not the loudest voice in the room. It's the one with the most present heart. It's not the one who never falls. It's the one who keeps getting back up and choosing love over fear. Every time you choose love over fear, you take another step closer to your true self. My mission with this podcast is simple: to help you face your reflection and remember who you really are. Not the provider, not the performer, not the person underneath, but the one that deserves peace. And next week, we're getting real. And I told you from the start that I'm leading this. Next week, my wife, Holly, will be joining me as my guest for episode 2. Why do we hurt the people close to us the most? And we're going to dive right into it. And until then, sit with this question. What lie do I keep telling myself that I wish wasn't true? That is where healing begins. I'm Jason Connor, and this is Alpha Mirror. Thank you for listening. And definitely want to give an appreciation to our sponsor, Connor Insurance Group. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Alpha Mirror podcast. Remember, the mirror never lies. It reflects the man you choose to become. So this week, ask yourself, what will my reflection say about me? Be sure to like, share, follow, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. Join me on this journey to redefine what it means to be an alpha. Until next time, keep facing the mirror, because that's where the alpha is born.